Alright guys, today we're going to be doing another graduated scissor cut. Today we're going to be doing a bit of a longer one though. So in the first one we done it short enough around the edges on the sideburns and the neckline to do a skin taper, but today we're going to be keeping a little bit longer, and I'm going to show you how to maintain this length at the bottom, exaggerate it out a little bit. We'll maybe clean up around the sideburns a little bit just so that they're not all scruffy, but yeah, it's going to be a bit of a longer style today. And we'll maybe even use the feather razor again like we did on the mod cut in the other video to break this up and take away some of these little flucky bits. Probably going to actually go with the curtains as well this time. I think last time I said I was going to do the curtains and we ended up styling it up and back, but today, because Lewis has got a lot longer hair, styling all this up into a quiff, even though we're going to take some off, is going to be way too much, and he prefers the way it sits down like this as well. So yeah, we'll get stuck in now. Right, so I'm going to wet all this down and then I'm going to section it out first, and it's going to be pretty similar section pattern to what we done on our first graduation haircut on this channel. So make sure you drench all the hair, get it all nice and clean. The sections, not the actual hair. It was already clean. Get a lot of people asking in comments and stuff on the shorter videos, like if we put anything in the water to make the section so clean, and we don't. We just absolutely drench our clients. You need to get the hair completely soaked. You want it to be like heavy and flat with how wet it is, and that's how you can control it so easily. So this hair is naturally already split there anyway, so our first thing we're going to do is find the apex of the head. So that's the highest point, so it's where it's going to start rounding down this way. And that is because we're building our shape in here into this gap. You can see this with two combs. This is the area you're trying to fill in with your graduation. And it's the same on the sides. That's where you're building this square shape. So we're going to separate the back from the front. We're going to go from the apex, so it starts rounding down under here to behind the ears. We're just going to box section the top off. So turn this one, use the scissor to see. I'm going to do this other side next anyway. Split this side too. So from the apex and the ears. And then, I don't know what best angle would be for here, but then we're going to go through this line here. It's called a radial section, and we're going to find the point where it's rounding here, from flat to round, flat to round. We're going to go through here to the recession. Nice and simple. Same on the other side. Comb it all forward, maybe a tiny bit high on this side. Comb it all forward on your hand. Get all the hairs nice and tight at the roots. And then just twist it. eventually it'll start twisting around itself. Just clip it up out of the way. So in the first graduated haircut we done, we were using our fingers right against the head as the first guide, but we don't want to take this short. If we take this first section this short, like we did last time when we were tapering into it, that's going to dictate the rest of the length. So on a graduated haircut that's a little bit longer, you've got to control it in two different ways. So how far out the angle is, so like this is how much weight you're going to build. How far the section is out from the head is the length of the haircut. So you don't want to create a longer graduated haircut by just angling it out more like this, because then you're just going to build loads of weight and you don't need that much weight here. So we're going to take our first section with some scissors. We're not going to worry about all this stuff right now because it's not going to get cut at the length we're going to cut it to. We'll start about here, from the recession to the ear. And then we're going to bring it out from the head. And then slightly triangular to build a little bit of weight. He's already got a natural corner here. It's not like his head's really round here, so we don't need to build loads of weight. We just need to build a little bit. So bring that out, first section, slight angle. I'm just going to snip that away. So the cutting line is triangular, but just slightly. Next section. See how his head doesn't actually round too much here, so we can just push the old section onto the new one. We've not got like a lot of over direction to do on this haircut. Find the guide in here. There it is. Here, we maybe have a little bit of over direction to do, but because it's such a small amount, we can just do it with the angle of our fingers. The length of this hair and the cutting line means that we barely need to exaggerate that. See how the roots are nice and tight in behind the section? That's our shape that we're creating there. This one's going to go right down the back of the neck. Comb this down. And your head down this front. Sweeping in and under. Find the guide under there. And then when we get to here, there's going to be no guide coming from underneath you again. So we're going to use this part of the section. Now, before, in the last haircut, this is where we started going tighter to the head, because we were going to taper it with the clippers. But here, we're just going to follow it straight through. So we don't want to get tighter anymore, we just want to continue that length. You could even, if you wanted to, exaggerate it out and bring it even further out and just connect it to the length that you've got at the bottom, and that would keep all of that. But we still want to take a little bit off today, so. After a few sections of this, I'll be able to show you how it's all flowing down now. See, we've still got all this. So the next section, all the way through again. And see how easy this hair is to control now because of how soaked it is. So usually I'd shuffle around the head, but because we're filming it, I'm going to spin the chair. So we're bringing this down onto the old section. With a little bit of over direction now that we're further up onto the curve of the head. Scooping from underneath, so we've got our guide from below. Find it there. Onto the flat of the head again. No over direction, just scoop it under. Get it nice and clean. Find the guide. This is where you'd start shuffling around the head a little bit. I'm just going to turn the chair so it's easier for the camera to see. Scoop under again. And we're angling out. I'm trying to find the guide here. Where is it? There we go. There. Bringing it right out. I don't even think anything's going to come off this very bottom bit. Controlling here with my other finger, pulling it down. You want to make sure you're always moving your client's head as well, because if his head was sloped too far forward there and I didn't bring it up and cut it, the angle of the section would be different from it would be if it was upright. You'd start to see it affect the shape. What you want to make sure as well is the further down you go, you don't want to let the angle of the hair change at all as well. You want to make sure that it's all still coming out square. Like the cutting line between your, the cutting line sticking out your fingers is where the triangle shape is. In behind here, I'll show you on this side. The roots, you still want coming out square, 90 degrees. It's the cutting line that you want to change the angle of. See how I'm not changing the angle of the hair, bringing it up or down, directing it. It's my fingers here. And be careful as well at the bottom. When you're working on the neckline here, if you pull too tight, you can see the skin start to stretch as well. So if you pull it tight and you stretch the skin, and then you cut, and then you let go and the skin bounces back in, your cutting line is going to be all wiggly as well. So just be aware of that. It's quite common here and around like the sideburns and stuff like that, just where the skin's a bit stretchier. So where are we? Here. So diagonally all the way through. And now we're starting to get onto the back of the head, so that part, that area of the head at the start where I was explaining we were trying to build this shape here, we're going to build weight from the occipital bone to the apex through over directing the sections back. So if you were going to cut the back on its own and kept it radial, and we're going to cut sections here, you could affect that shape using your fingers on your cutting line by angling it out. But because we're working from the side through here, we're going to build that shape by over-directing each section back. And that means each section is travelling back further to this corner as it gets to the middle, which will mean this section here will be longer than this section here. It's going to create a triangular shape here, and that's going to build all this weight here. So I'm pulling this out the way first. You can actually see the head shape a little bit easier now. You can see how we're now onto like a rounder part of the head. So this is where I'm going to start over directing. It's going to come all the way back. And we don't want to come straight out. We want to come down a tiny little bit. You would tailor the amount that you're angling it down based on how round the person's head actually is and how much weight you need to build. We're going to do that all the way down to where the occipital bone is. And once we're here, and it starts dipping in this way again, we're going to start pulling the hair a little bit more straight out the way, because we don't need to build weight under here anymore. We don't need to over-direct it. We're going to control the shape with our cutting line again, instead of using over-direction as well. So we just need to find a guide in here somewhere to connect these two sections together. It's in there. And we're going to take all this length off underneath the occipital bone. Because the head's round and in the way under the bone, the hair is actually longer, so we can take a little bit more off. Or it looks like we're taking a little bit more off, but it will just match in. Same again here. Crossing over to the other side. And just the head. Direct it down, back to this corner again. Or direct it back, I should say. Make sure the roots are tight. Direction. Roots still coming out square. And then on the back, on the occipital bone, we're going straight back out, keeping all that length at the bottom. Find our guide. Connect the two panels in. You're going to start to see there's a lot of extra length here when we're trying to connect these two parts together now. Just from over-directing so much into no over-direction, so you almost create a little bit of a disconnection, but as long as it visually looks connected and the shape's set nice, then don't worry about that. You can always connect it together a little bit through texturizing or with a feather razor, or if you can't even notice it, you can just leave it. There's nothing wrong with having disconnection. Now we can see how this is all starting to flow into this length down here now. Some more. shuffling around the head, or at least just turning this chair here, is because we're trying to follow the head shape round. So we're not trying to build a corner here like we would on like a square layer. We're following the head shape. So this is going to be round horizontally. We're pulling it all out towards ourselves. We don't want to build a corner there. We want this to hug the head, flow round the head. Starting to see that difference in length there. Just above the occipital bone where we built all that way. And then there's nothing even coming off of the bottom there. And this will be the last section on this side. Triangular cut line dictating the shape here again. There we go. Right there. Sweet. So maybe take a little bit of this one, just over here. I think this will reach a tiny bit. That's all it is there. Just from the middle before we cross over onto the other side. Cool, so now we have all this built up. And look how we can just control it. When we're doing the second side, we need to make sure they're both going to be the same length. So right now, this is a good bit longer. So we're going to do the first few sections and we're going to check it against the first few sections of this before we move on. I'm going to start in the same place. This is the fiddlier side for me. I find this side harder. Belly's gone. Shit pants on camera.
Yeah.
If we all shit our pants, no one will feel self-conscious.
Yeah.
Right. So, similar to the other side, you can stand here, or you can stand here. If you're right-handed, it's up to you, whatever you feel comfortable with. This is probably going to be a better way to do it for the camera angle, but either is fine as long as you're making sure that the angles are the same as on the first side. So I'm going to use my thumb this time from the recession to the top of the ear, section number 1. Use my thumb to control the hair, pulling it down with the comb. And then your fingers are going to be upside down compared to that way on the other side. Fingers pointing down instead of fingers pointing up is probably a better way of explaining that. So, going to scoop under, choose the correct angle. I'm going to be pretty conservative with this first section. I'm going to check it against the other side first before I move on. So, this is another area where the skin can be quite stretchy. So I can actually just try and show you if I feel the skin is super tight like that. And then let it go. Let's see. To be fair, it's not too bad. skin's not that stretchy. You got a non-elastic skin, bro.
Nice. Nice one.
So, bring it forward, find the points that match, check them. If it looks similar, looks the same length, you're safe to move on. We're going to do the same with the second section. So down to the top of the ear again, comb it down. Find the guide. And forward again. Same points. Is it visually the same? Yeah. You can use the teeth of your comb to measure it. You can use the point that reaches on the forehead. I don't think it's possible to get every hair the exact same length anyway, as long as it looks the same. No one's going to be measuring 0.5 millimeters. Next section, it's going to go down behind the ear to the back ear. So I'm going to tilt this hand. We're going to go all the way through. Lift the comb up around the ear. Make sure you groom all this first. Get this all flat. And just pay a lot of attention to the roots when you're doing the harder side, guys, because you don't want your angle to be different, and it's very easy to, like, because you're basically doing things upside down, it's very easy to accidentally just tweak and change things a little bit, especially if you're not concentrating, or if you're in the shop just chatting and having a laugh with the boys and stuff like that. It's very easy just to cut like this instead of this. You've not even realised that your elbow drops a little bit, the angle changes, and then one side is completely differently shaped to the other. I've even messed it up just talking to you in the camera right now. So we'll redo this section here. Just find where we were. And then we're going to have our guide come from there again. So this is where we got to. Remember, we're not angling out too much. Here's a good example under here on the guide of where I've stretched the skin a little bit where I was talking now. See, it started indenting in a little bit there. It's not much, but if you do it repeatedly, or you then use that as the guide, one little mistake here becomes this much of a mistake here over there. So we're going to angle it out. This is a really fiddly bit to get in, so we're going to come in against the skin, scoop under, and then bring it out. Sweet. this side a bit harder, so I'm not going to move the chair, I'm just going to step around and bring it back to us. And that's under here. There's still a bit of this length here. And about this point here, it's already been cut from doing the other side, so it should be a good indicator you've chosen the right length and the sections meet up nice and evenly. Start from the top, over the rectum, guide. Right, turn this a little bit for the camera to see. Under here, and a little bit more straight out from the head. Like that, find the guide. And then here, let's see. Perfect. Joins up. Last couple sections on the back and sides. Over direct this back. Still on the round of the head, so over direct that. And then here, let's see, coming straight out again, vertical. Need to clear my throat so I get a little bit there. Make sure I don't miss any. And then, basically joined up already. And then this should be the last little bit coming off. Sweet, let's see. Now, if we look to here, we should have built up a corner there. One long little hair. Yes. But yeah, this is the weight. We built that triangular shape, and all this is going to sit above this bone here. It's going to give us this length here, and this shape to flow back. And we've got all this length at the bottom here. So, we've taken most of this fluffy bits off. So we're going to dry it first. I'm going to see how this looks, and then maybe touch into it with a feather razor a little bit, even it out a bit, get rid of all these neck hairs too. First we're going to do the top though. as this time as well. So what I'm going to do before I layer the top is I'm actually just going to connect the top to the sides and see how that looks first before I do any layering through it. So I'm going to comb the hair back, I'm going to push it, and we're going to find where the natural part starts to split. So we can see it coming through here. It's an easy little trick to find the natural part. And then we're going to take sections through here. I'm just going to bring them down onto the graduation here. So we're going to lose a little bit of length here. I'm just going to point cut that in just to connect it. Excuse me. A bit towards the front. Where we start losing the guide, I'm going to just start angling the hair out to keep that length. So again, it's going to be a bit of a connection / disconnection here. As we're connecting it a little bit at the back, but the further to the front we get and the less length we want to take off, we're angling out and we're becoming disconnected. I always think curtains look a bit better when they're a little bit less exact or less perfect, a little bit messier, a little bit, a tiny little bit of unevenness through the waviness of it. And then just the same on the other side. Connecting here on this first section. Angling out. The heavier and the less length you want to take, the more you bring it straight down the way. But we don't want to build loads of weight to sit on that, we just want it to flow back. So we're just bringing it down a tiny little bit. Let's just see, let's just make sure these aren't too different. Yeah, that'd be sweet. Right. Bit of product. What do you use? Do you usually use any product?
I usually put some wax through it, yeah, I mean, especially after I wash it, because it's just like a helmet. I usually put some product through it, and naturally it gets oily over a couple of days, it's kind of leave it natural, but
Sweet. I'm going to do a little bit of paste. So, a little bit of the paste, not that much. Put it in when it's damp, evenly coat the hair from the roots to the ends. turning itself off. Not good. I'm just holding off before having to drop another fucking 300 curve. So, we're gonna dry most of the hair, like 80% dry. It's actually kind of already dried a good bit from just us cutting it, but get some heat into it at the roots, warm all the hair up, get all like the majority of the water and the dampness out of it. You can't really style hair or get it into a shape if it's still wet, so you want it nearly completely dry before you start even bothering with the style and the direction and the shape you're trying to set it in. So especially around the crown and around underneath here where the hair is more dense. Follow the brush with the hair dry all the way through the bottom and smooth the hair out. Get all the water out of it. We've got medium heat, high power. See how the shape just comes down against the head now. All the way through. It flows down to this length at the bottom. Get the next side. This way. Get the top of the way again. Probably going to dry the top of the diffuser just to get the wave through the curls of it, or the wave through the curtains a bit more. So again, opposite way down. Follow the hair with the brush with the hair dryer. Make sure this is dry. It's doing good there. And brush all this back. What I'm going to do is put the diffuser on for this bit. Just see if we can try a bit more of that wave into it. So, brought it back. Try and find where these curtains are again. I'm just going to use the diffuser to finish this off. is doing is stopping the air, pushing the curl on the wave out of it. So you can still brush it back neat if you want to, but it's going to maintain and keep some of this, whereas around here we've like properly straightened it out. Where we've connected a little bit too heavy here. So I'm going to use this razor now to touch up a bit of the bottom at the back. So the shape is sitting class all the way around, but the back's a little bit messy and uneven. So we're just going to have a look here. And not do too much, to be fair. It still looks pretty cool, but just take some of these down a little bit, just so this doesn't look so light in the middle and thick here. So what we'll do first is we'll get rid of these neck hairs. Just gonna grab this just a little bit, and then just use this razor to break it up and take some of the ends off it. Just balance it out a little bit with that middle section. These little long bits here, take some of them. Maybe a little couple ones here. As well. See that? Even just that tiny little bit just makes it look a whole lot more. Looks like the weight's a bit more distributed through it. You can just have to play with it, however you want to style it. You can use the big comb, the fine comb. I think even it's got a tiny bit of weight here we could even chop into. See if we can lighten this up a tiny bit. So all we've got to do is tilt the head there, come from the back, find this area, and just point cut into it. We're building a lot of weight on this area, so if it's thicker here, it can build up quite a lot. I think just taking some of this out will help it flow a bit nicer. And same for the other side. that already, just a tiny little bit. Just trying the big colour here. Yeah. Sweet. There we go, guys. That is slightly longer graduated cut. We've got the curtains on top. Really nice and messy. You could brush it back slick. Not really needed to touch anything off here. Oops. You could cut in here and go around the hairline a little bit if you wanted to, but to be honest, I think having the messiness here and the messiness here actually works quite well. Right guys, there we have it. Full graduated scissor cut with some curtains. There was no clippers used except to get rid of the neck hairs. Used the feather razor on the neckline a little bit. And yeah, bit different from the last one we done with the taper. Bit harder to do, but I think it came in pretty cool. I like the way his hair flows all the way back. Nice and natural finish to it. But yeah, if you found that helpful, subscribe to our channel. If you want to learn anything else or you struggle with anything, comment at what else you want to make us, or comment what else you want us to make videos of, I should say. And yeah, we'll do our best to get models in and sort it out for you guys. So thanks for watching.